Hello one and all and welcome to episode 9 of the Contestrealmpodcast. Now obviously, if you don't already know, we are available on YouTube. There's a special playlist on my channel. There's the Soundcloud, there's the Spotify, and if you don't like them and you like your Apple stuff, then we've got the iTunes as well. All links will be in bios, so go check that out. And yeah, episode 9, it's been a crazy week in the world, but obviously we're giving you something to listen on to whilst you're grinding out the game. So make sure you're playing along at home and having us in your ear. Sounds a little bit disgusting, but hey, we'll roll with it. So with all that going on, hope obviously you are well. You're keeping yourself isolated. And as well, myself and Em are not going to be close to one another. We're actually sleeping top to tail. If anybody cares, nobody does. So... we've got to keep up with the quarantining stuff. And obviously, that laugh there is from my very delightful co-host. This is MCOC. It's Frontline MCOC. This is Dan. Dan, as always, thank you very much for being my co-host, my friend, and being here with me on a Sunday.
Hey, Rich, I'm happy to be here. And wow, that was quite a week. So hopefully we can provide a little bit of a distraction for over the next hour with everything that is just so crazy in the world right now.
Yeah, have a bit of a laugh, just enjoy it. And the great thing about having a podcast is understanding other people that have podcasts as well. And one of the biggest podcasters in the Marvel Contest of Champions, I'd say community area thing, is the UMCOC podcast. And you can find links to our guest, who is one of the members in the bios as well. Now, I've got a bit of an intro for him. So here we go. Better singing. Now, screw Lorde, because he can be royal. He once got the legend badge and must have hella boosted up as he used Iron Fist What the Truck. Yes, let's welcome Royal Marshal to the podcast. Welcome.
Oh my goodness, that was the best intro I've ever received. I love it. Thank you so much.
I kind of feel you might be a little bit patronizing me there, but it's like, thank you.
No. Well, I will say, it's not the first time that song has been used to... summon me.
God damn it! I thought I had something original there.
I liked I will say the verse afterwards. Very appreciated.
Thank you. That was
I did not boost for that run.
Really? God.
Yeah, I didn't.
So I was even surprised you used it to begin with. That's the crazy thing. But yeah, Dan gave me that, and I was like, "This is pretty incredible to have that snippet of information." It used Iron Fist.
You're welcome. How many people have a Legends badge, via an Iron Fist? Like that is a throwback right there.
God.
Well, when you add the context of the fact that this was well before a lot of the better characters came out, it's a little more stomachable.
Okay, was it a 5-star though?
It was a 5-star. It was a 5-star rank 4.
Rank 4.
You still took an Iron Fist to rank 4. I don't know that there was any time in the game that was socially acceptable, Royal.
He was my best prestige option at the time, as horrible as that sounds.
Yeah. I think I used Cat Marvel. And that was all right. I think I had Suicide Masteries. I did boost up for that one, but I was further along when I got the Legends badge. But it's still really crazy to think you'd use that to kind of get it. With other people now, it's like, I used Corvus. Well, I used Iron Fist.
Yeah.
It
was also during the King Groot's loot, so the majority of the bosses were cosmic.
That's a good play.
Yeah, which gave me even more reason to use them.
So I think let's start some questioning now. How long have you been playing the game?
I have been playing since December 2014, so I think that's right after the beta came out, or rather the beta finished and the actual full game was released.
That's pretty good. I'm a January. Dan, what were you again?
February 2015.
See that with December, January, February. Look at that. Love it.
Yeah, I remember downloading it in my high school history class, and I was like, what's this?
Okay, that hurts, Royal. That
oh, right.
That hurts.
I'm young in comparison to you guys, aren't I?
All right. Don't rub it in.
If it makes it better, I was a junior.
Okay.
It does not.
God. Okay.
Oh.
Since the game has been put in, so the last 5 years, is there anything that stood out for you that you've liked what Kabam have put in?
I gotta say, it's come to a head with this Grandmaster fight that was recently introduced in 6.4. I've always been one of the few people to be vocal about the fact that I really like the thematic Thanos boss fights that come out with the Infinity Quests.
Yeah.
Because they're very grand in the sense that you are working ultimately towards that a big goal with lots of obstacles in your way. And sure, some of the modes are a little jarring to deal with, especially the one-hit KOs.
Yeah.
When he activates his Death Stone, like it doesn't feel exactly fair at times.
Okay. On the other side of that, is there anything that you kind of feel Kabam have added in which you didn't particularly like? Whether or not it be something that maybe a node or maybe something that they changed that didn't really agree with you.
Nothing as of late. If we're gonna be talking about nodes, I will say some things like aspect of war. Although I haven't seen that in quite a while. When that node was at first introduced, the main gripe I had was the fact that there was no visual representation of how long it was until you actually lost your blocking.
Yeah.
And I believe that was actually, again, primarily used in a Infinity Quest, where I believe one of the nameless fights had that, and it just made it so difficult.
There's a lot of stuff that I could really kind of like ping Kabam to, and again with nodes and stuff with Siphon, which obviously they've even noted to themselves, we've got to change it and have recently done that. So it's just, I don't know, sometimes I feel that they may be doing something just to kind of like test us to see like, oh, are they better than this, or are they more spendier than this? But still, that's, it's kind of cool to find out whether or not people find either nodes or other stuff Kabam have put in a bit too cruel. With the podcast, what's the whole story behind that? Who decided to grab these, how do I say, like the A team, these ragtag bunch of misfits? I don't know, that's not really complimentary of you guys.
We're misfits.
Who kind of came up with the idea? How did you meet? Have you been friends for a long time? You just players alliance? What's the story?
So way back when 12.0 was cooling down finally. I had come to Discord because this is one of the first times I was on Discord. There was already a MCOC Discord headed by a gentleman called the Living Tribunal. Without going into too much detail, we had started the podcast I want to say middle of 2016. It was right after 12.0 had occurred.
Yeah.
And we had a couple people. We had, I think, Dragon and Deacon and JJ were on the earliest, and then we kind of got Bagel along the way, I think. But I think one of our first episodes, we probably had 8 people on voice at once.
Wow.
Which, isn't a really great capacity to have when you're trying to keep everything to like an hour and a half. Also, mic quality was terrible. Some people sounded like they were talking into a toaster. But eventually it got to a point where we had to say goodbye to Living Tribunal.
Yeah.
Because of certain altercations that had occurred within like the social tree of that server.
Yeah.
And then we came to actually, oh man, I wish I could check when the server was created. I want to say maybe start of 2018, but we came to create the actual UMCOC podcast Discord, and the crew kind of stayed at me, Dragon, Deacon, Bagel, and JJ. And then kind of from there, the rest is history. We would have, all these awesome guests. We would eventually get people like Gabe and Mike and Fel on, and
we've been trying to do that for a little while. Fingers crossed this will actually happen this year, that we can actually get them.
I think they'd be more than happy to, at least given their attitude when hanging with us. Like they enjoy it greatly, so I don't see why not.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes.
We shall poach them, yes, in a busy season. I kind of think this would be a good opportunity to get them if they're not able to work directly at Kabam. I might have to kind of like restoke those fires.
We'll poke them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys know, because I didn't know, despite the fact that we've been doing 100 and something episodes of this. We actually got I apparently fell Mike and Gabe to record outros for the very end of the podcast.
Wow.
Where, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like early 2000s Disney Channel, where like every so often some random celebrity will come on, like, this is so and so, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Standard radio bump, yeah.
It'll be Mike, Fel, or Gabe saying, this is Kabam Mike, and you listen to the UMCOC podcast. It was like, I was super surprised to hear that the first time, and it got me really excited. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
It's like a real show.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, no, that I think, what you guys, Deacon is your secret weapon when he starts producing some of that stuff and, records the radio bumps or does the Mojo voiceover, or what's the what he's got that reoccurring like redneck skit. Yeah, which is just great.
Deacon is such a vital part of the podcast. He does great work in editing, and just he brings his southern flavor into our group as well. No real pun intended there. But he.
So I told Royal he couldn't swear because we don't have Deacon to clean up the messes around here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not usually the one to swear anyway. Dragon's the one who slips up there.
That's true. That's true. Although JJ has had a couple too.
JJ does too, yes.
Yeah, we go out pre-watershed for that, so we can't. We don't do swears. Maybe we should. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to do an explicit episode and see what it does to the view count.
Yeah.
And if it's through the roof, business is business.
True. That's true.
So
listen, we all know. In the dark corners, when you're opening your crystal and you pull your third Iron Man dupe from your 5-star, something inside of you just tells you that you need to curse about it.
Right. For sure.
I'm running too much good luck at the moment. I've got a 6-star opening, crystal opening tomorrow, and I'm so worried. What did I pick up recently? Awakened, Mysterio, Mr. Fantastic, Cat Marvel movie for the first time. And there's one other good one I picked. Oh yeah, I got Stark Spidey in like a big block, and then yesterday picked up Aegon for the first time as a 5-star. I just feel that the 6-star opening tomorrow is going to be a bit of a your time's up.
I think you're gonna get an Elsa. I think you're gonna get an Elsa because I don't have an.
Yeah, after Karate Mike's video and his chat last when he was on for episode 7, it was a big eye opener about that champion. And definitely something to consider in the future. Okay, right. Let's take the podcast into discussion of last week. Now, we all know it's been we say it's been a crazy week. It has been a crazy week, regardless if you're self-isolating or not. So let's talk about some topics from last week, and also we got a few kind of crucial topics we want to talk about as well. Dan, take it from there.
Yeah, let's get into a little bit of the recap of the week. So. We had heard this month that an event called Feelin Green was going to happen, and then we pretty much heard nothing about it until we got a calendar, and then we got the actual solo event, right? And the solo event's actually pretty good because it's a whole bunch of revives for not too much work. I know there was one complaint that there was only 3 champions that would get the extra points, and why didn't they include more of the green champions? But overall, I thought it was a pretty good event that I completed just by auto fighting some of the the beginner and normal EQ with all that extra energy they sent us. What about you, Royal? Are you feeling green?
I am feeling quite green, sir. I auto fought some of the Mole Man expeditions with my 6-star Green Goblin to get that done fast.
Nice.
Excellent.
I must admit, from my perspective...
And Rich, have you completed it?
I have completed it. I decided to do it in a 30-minute video for those that self-isolate, though I didn't think people really understood why I was making a 30-minute video about that. I just thought, look, if people are self-isolating, want to put something on the background, similar to the podcast... and similar to the UMCOC podcast. So, you've got options.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You've got options to have playing in the background so you don't feel alone if nobody's about. I did find...
company.
Yeah, exactly. We all keep you company. And not to, put any shade on the... on Cam's and Starfighter's podcast. What's the name of that?
Podcast of Champions.
Podcast of Champions, that's it.
Podcast of Champions, yes.
God, we've all got similar podcast names, haven't we?
We do.
Yeah, not ridiculously similar, but enough. So I decided to do normal. I did the same thing with Dan. I did find it a little annoying that it wasn't full broad of green champions. It was, because we've got we've got She-Hulk. We've got technically Mole Man has Giganto Jr. who's green. Anyone else know of any green champions?
Well, Hulk Ragnarok would be one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for those that were wanting to do it from a lower level that maybe kind of go, well, I don't have Hulk or I don't have Green Goblin. Yeah, I mean, 2 stars available for it to do it. Yeah, that could work. But I understand, obviously, if you're new to the game, this may have been a not so easier opportunity. It'd be interesting to kind of like see on the YouTube, if people are listening, put in the comment section of that whether or not you had any issues. We'll try and pick up on that one next week, but it'd be interesting to find out people's perspectives from it. But not just that, we had a delay in season rewards, which I don't know how to feel about this. Royal, does this affect you in any kind of way?
It just means I'm not going to be able to open a 6-star as fast. I've stuck with my alliance for about 3 years at this point. I don't plan on going anywhere. Yeah, but I can understand your frustration in it, wanting to switch up.
Yeah, for me, it is more of an issue because it's interesting to find out how Dan's alliance is doing things. As you're down to 2 battle groups now, as we said
we
last
are,
week.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you finding that for your ending position?
I mean, it's a little bit hard to tell right now because they haven't fixed the scores yet, but it looks like we're going to end somewhere in gold too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're adding back in some map 7 and with the boost coming to Alliance Quest later today, that's where our focus is. We want to have as much glory as possible to spend in the glory store now, so it seems to be an even better decision to back off the spend in Alliance War, and it's really brought my stress down.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing with the rewards is not so much about getting the rewards, it's that you can't leave your alliance until you get the rewards.
Yeah.
So if they're correct in that Alliance War seasons are going to end on the 24th, that's a Tuesday. Usually we get rewards in 12 to 16 hours. If it's really a week, that brings it to March 31st, which is going to be day 2 of Alliance Quest. So then if you were to leave your alliance at that point, you would lose a week worth of Alliance Quest rewards, which most people don't want to do. So that means the next free movement period won't be until April 5th, when Alliance Quest and the off-season Alliance War are over, and Alliance War Season 17 will begin on April 8th.
And who knows if there will be an event for next month that requires your alliance. There's all these different factors that are just...
Right. Yeah. The calendar's brutal right now. So that's my main thing is like, when do you transition people out without screwing them over for rewards? It's really tough.
Well, it's disappointing
the way that the whole calendar is following.
Yeah, it's disappointing to see that how they haven't considered that with the way that it falls with the Alliance Quest series. God, yeah, that is a real kick in the arse to leave an alliance.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been one of my main issues, is that I just don't think they understand how much the calendar affects player movement and our daily lives and how much stress it puts on officers. So that's one of the reasons why I created Frontline and put the calendar out and do all these daily updates, is to like let people know what's going on and when you can move and when your roster is going to be available. But
which I love seeing, by the way.
It is really brilliant.
Nice.
Thank you, Royal. Yeah, it's one of those things when you throw a monkey wrench, like, don't leave your alliance for a week because of rewards, but then this other event comes in after and crosses over. It's really tricky, and I don't think people consider that a lot of times until they're going to get their rewards, and they're going to be like, oh, wait, it's the middle of AQ. Like, they're not going to be thinking 2 weeks ahead in game movement, because why would you?
Royal,
So.
out of curiosity,
Yes.
how do you feel? Because myself and Dan have been very vocal in the past about how we feel about Alliance Wars and champion availability, and obviously based on our roster's availability for other content. How do you feel about Alliance Wars in general, and as well, like, do you feel it's something that Kabam could look into a bit more?
You mean do more?
Well, yeah, do more. Yeah.
Seriously.
I wanted to comment earlier when you were speaking about Siphon. I've had to, I think at most on the mini boss island, probably 7 out of 9 of the bosses were Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, my only gripe with Alliance War is that the fact that not only is Doom just a fantastic character, Siphon just empowers him so much. But in terms of roster availability, I have always been pretty okay and comfortable with my roster enough that if I have my Void and Killmonger in War, and I have my Voodoo and who else do I use? I think I use Warlock and AQ. I'm comfortable enough that I can do, like some uncollected event quests and things like that. I'll tend to get to story content when it initially comes out, and then later down the line, if I really, really want to sit down for like a day and focus on it, I will. But I'm not in so much of a rush that I need to go and do this other story content.
I'm the same. I think Dan as well. Where I mean, I'm just about to start 6.3, but it's been a process to say, look, I need to change. I need to rank 5 certain champions. I need to open up my crystals to see what I get. I need to put on Suicide Masteries to improve the damage ratio with a lot of champions that maybe double immunity. But that's, again, a process for me to go, look, is it worth me taking a month or a season away from Alliance-based participation in order to have the availability and just sit down and just grind it out? I think it was a process of even doing 100%ing 6.1.6, as I said to Dan. It took me 5 hours to 100% it, and it was just time that I just kind of felt, can I really be bothered with this? But I was pressed. I had to get into Alliance Wars literally as soon as I finished. It was about 10 minutes after I finished it. I had to place all my champions for it. So it's a painful process, a lot on availability. Have you ever...
I was going to say there's always external time as well. You don't only play this game. I'm sure you play other games and you just have other life things that you need to attend to.
Yeah, that's, and as well, like that. Luckily for that day, I'd recorded all my videos that were then being produced to go out. But that's the thing, blocking out that time is then as soon as that's done, I've then got M comes back and goes, where's dinner? Because this is 2020, men do stuff as well. It's not like I just go, look, I've just 100% 6.1.6. Where is my dinner now? Usually get the question is, did you put that washing on today? No, I've been busy. Yeah, but you've been home all day. Yeah, I've been making videos, because if I don't put out videos, I don't make money, and therefore we can't power
6.2.
No. That's the question. Is it's not like have you put any washing on? It's have you done 6.2 yet?
Right.
Oh, you care so much.
Yeah, how's Mr. Sinister and the Champion treating you, Rich? Been a rough day
at
the office?
Here, let me whip you up some dinner. I'll make you feel better.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. We all wish it would happen that way, but it's not.
Yep. Yeah, we're definitely getting into gamer fantasy territory.
Absolutely. Oh dear.
Well, other than Alliance War, the one other new bit of news for the week was the Rainbow Calendar, and Rich's note is classic Rich, trollish or fun? No, which I just love, especially because it's one for me to read, but it's such a Richism, as I feel like it's copyrighted. I think the Rainbow Calendar fell a little flat. I remember last week I had predicted, I was like, hopefully it'll be a big pot of gold, like 500,000, and I was only off by 1-0, which I was reminded of in line chat a few times by my alliance after they were listening, and I appreciate them all listening, and I deserve that one.
What's the name of your alliance again?
I am in Shield Family.
Shield Family. Shout out to Shield Family.
Guys and girls are the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was just a bunch of ISO and some gold that we are going to spend very quickly. So I don't know about you, Royal. Felt like a little underwhelming to me.
I think I would have preferred to see Sig Stones instead of ISO.
Oh god,
Yeah, 6 stones.
What?
Maybe they could have tiered it to like your player level. Like if you were Cavalier, you got 5-star 6 stones. Not even that many. It was
Yeah.
a small little one-off calendar. Maybe like 5.
Yeah, even 5 would be a really big deal.
Yeah. Oh, I
Of
really.
like each class, like do a rainbow of 5 and then do the gold at the end. Oh yeah.
There's
I
just
I don't have use
something-
for that ISO.
No.
Right.
No, just quickly go. I mean, for me, every time I hear like signature stones or see signature stones, I seem to be more interested with them more than I am with a lot of other things. Like, oh yeah, shards. Well, I'll probably get a crap champion from like the crystals. But it's like as soon as I see signature stones, I'm like, ooh, signature stones, because it's not something that's you can't get from glory. It's not in the glory store. It's not in the Black Iso market. It's not anywhere that you could grind out to get. It's kind of like it's treated in some ways like this kind of like premium thing, especially at 5-star. I mean, yeah, you get 4 stars from doing a lot of solo events, from doing the events. Well, yeah, I suppose it's in the monthly events, but the fact is, it's like you get this in the solo crystal is the greatest solo crystal. So I kind of really hoping for some more signature stones that you can just like place on your favorite champion and just ramp them up to be completely OP.
Yeah, it's that power to choose that really gets you excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this week as well, we've seen fluctuations in the arena scores. Not so much for the Crystal Trove, because that I anticipated to go up based on the 6-star scuff of the first week, and then people not really understanding the multiplier for the second week. So, Royal, thoughts? What do you think about these arena scores? Is it low based on bad champions? Fall off of interest maybe on otherworldly things going on? Or the arena bots gone for good? Well, what seems to be gone for good.
I would probably say the arena bots are not going to be gone for good, because people who are persistent in making sure that they can make their money in whatever way they can, they're going to work around that always. But I will say it is a combination of the two, where just some of the characters haven't been super exciting, and just a lot of other stuff is occupying people's minds right now.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Moleman and Terex, out of curiosity?
So their animations are fantastic. The design team is really like just hitting it out of the ballpark with in terms of visually. Mechanically, the characters have their uses, but aren't like out of the ballpark sort of captivating or interesting.
Yeah.
They're like, one of my biggest gripes with Mole Man is the fact that there is the means of getting his damage seems to be lacking, simply because you can't keep his shock up enough. The whole point is to have your shock on your opponent when you get that big critical L2 that constantly applies bleeds, because it deals that additional burst of energy damage when you apply a bleed when they're shocked. But it doesn't last long enough in order to actually get that value. So it kind of seems like maybe when that champion rework rolls around, if they just add like a 1 or 2 seconds to that shock, it'll be better.
Yeah. As well, the champion, and stop me if I'm wrong, really has to be awakened and ramped up a lot to see any great-ish return when it comes to damage output.
Yeah, he's similar in Hulk in that the lower your health is, the greater damage you can get from your frenzy. But he doesn't have any sort of self-sustain.
Yeah.
So if you really want to perform well in terms of damage, those big yellow numbers, you probably need to have him around like the 30 to 20% health bar, and no one ever wants to be that low health in certain content.
Yeah.
Especially when characters can just one-shot you if you don't block a hit.
Yeah. Okay, keeping with the topic of arena scores, I know that Dan, you were grinding out Crystal Trove. Oh, I don't know if you did in the end last week. Did you grind out Crystal Trove?
Yeah, I did. I did 4 million.
4 million
last week. Yeah.
What do you think about that? Did how many 5-star shards did you total you got back?
That was I definitely got the top 10% for that. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good grind. I actually kind of liked that it was not spread out over the 3 days. It was something that was very targeted and focused that I could do, but it didn't start eating up multiple days. Getting to what are we up to? Are we at about like 15 and a half million now to get for the 3-day 5-star featured arena to get the 10%? Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
That's a lot of time.
How things change in the coming weeks. The problem is we've not had a really desirable champion since. Well, it must be since the last.
Probably long shot.
Long shot, yeah. So to get an idea whether or not a new featured is a 15.5, a unhyped new like a Mole Man or a Terex, which is that going to mean that it's going to be lower? What was it like? I think Mole Man went this week. The round 2 was about 38 mil, I want to say. Royal, do you keep up to date with arena scores?
I haven't for quite a while, simply because work has been super busy for me.
Do you do much arena grinding?
I did back when I lived in New York. Given the fact that I'm currently maintaining my own apartment now, and having to worry about bills and such, I don't have as much time as I would like. I remember the last big grind I did was probably getting 9th for the 4-star for the Fury Arena.
Wow.
Oh, actually, no, that's not true. I did grind for Invisible Woman as a 5-star.
Nice.
When she released, and I got her.
Oh, it's so upsetting to see the extent of grind that it has been for new champions. Didn't Dragon put up over 100 mil for Squirrel Girl, I want to say?
That was because she was going for Warbound, but yes, she did.
Oh, she was going for Warbound. Did you get there in the end?
She did get it.
Fantastic. That's good. I'm just trying to think of other stories. I mean, we had Karate Mike on. I know he went for... who did he go? Did he go for Long Shot? Dan?
He went for Mojo. And he got 152, which is obviously...
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Oh, that's
the thing with that is, like, Mike was actually the guy that built all the Mojo hype, too. Like, he was the one that figured out Mojo and put out that champion video, and then he finishes 151 in round 1. It was... it's like, this is why we can't have nice things, right? Like...
Yeah.
That's why arena can really just stink most of the time.
Yeah, it's a tough game the way it's set up, and even with saying, oh, it's only 38 million, that's still so many rounds of arena. Even if you've got a big 6-star roster,
it's only 50 hours of staring at your phone.
Right, exactly, and then units and refreshes. Yeah, I think it's just coming down because we were on that crazy run of either really good champs or really high prestige champs that, if Terax had the best prestige in the game, it wouldn't matter how bad the community thinks he is.
Yeah.
So that's, it's either, it seems like the defensive champs usually get a bit of a bump, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little bit higher than Mole Man did, but it's really prestige that drives the absolute ceiling of these arena grinds, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, I'm going to say exciting, surprising to see. Well, no, interesting is the word. God, I can't even think of how I'm kind of like expressing myself. Interesting to see where Terex goes, because I saw a champion that could be a real pain in the butt when it comes to alliance wars and defensive options. But I don't know whether or not other people will see it that way. That's the thing.
I think he looks like a decent defender, but he's got to be duped, and you're going to have to sig him up. So if you just dumped all your signature stones into Silver Surfer, you would have you had time to replenish to then sig 200 at Terax. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, sure, some people have, but that's the thing where his defense comes from being awakened.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. So this week, we've seen some exciting developments-ish in Kabam's roadmap. Well,
the roadmap, the mysterious roadmap.
The mysterious roadmap, the one that kind of exists but doesn't, that they sort of allude to but sort of don't, and then whenever called out about something, then they say, this is part of our roadmap. Okay, Kabam.
Roadmap to me has become just such a dirty word in terms of like technology developers simply because of how bad of a history it's had recently.
Yeah.
Most roadmaps, whenever I hear the word roadmap, I immediately think, well, it looks like the game's only going to last like another year, which obviously isn't the case, but...
It's strange because I didn't even think this game would last to year 5. I thought year 4 would start seeing a decline. So it's good to see the game still kind of going on. Obviously, from my perspective, it's what I cover as a full-time job. So I guess if the game goes down, I might as well go and find another job. But
I don't see MCOC going anywhere for quite a while.
No.
It's got such an appeal of pick up and play fighting game that it's going to last quite a bit.
No, obviously from a monetary point of view, that's the main thing. Regardless if we're going to go, they've got stuff in game, but they want to look at the dollars in the bank, and obviously there's plenty of financial opportunity with huge amounts of numbers going, stuff like the gifting event, which, let's face it, this year is going to be something that will be interesting to see where Kabam go with it. But it's good to know that they've planned story arcs and things like that, and this special thing which Kabam Frenchie let us know about on when I think it was Wednesday, wasn't it?
This whole week's a blur.
Basically, Frenchie said that we will be able to sell stuff from the stash at a later date because it's part of the roadmap.
Well, we've been talking about that for years, so
Yeah.
that's pretty exciting. That is a very nice quality of life change.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
all for that.
I must admit, for me, like getting to my stash and trying to set, and then putting stuff into my inventory to then try and to then sell it, to then go back and then, especially sorting. I'd love to be able to do a sorting button to get rid of the ISO for 75, 125. Is it 125?
Yep.
Is it?
Well, just all the generic ISO.
Oh yeah, all the generic.
Just auto sell that.
Yeah.
You can just auto sell that as soon as it hits. As soon as I get it, just sell. That's fine. I don't need it.
That would be amazing. I mean, when you do the lower difficulties of stuff, just to get rid of that lower tier ISO is just so much more beneficial. As well, maybe an auto selling or selling on stuff like dual credits. Until Kabam put in that feature where you can search a champion and then fight said champion, it's just a case of like, oh, right, great, I've got loads of these dual credits. What do I do with them?
That's going to be super exciting once it's introduced, though. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, so
it's going to help.
So, I don't know if is it going to be a specific champion? Did they say specific champion, like saying, okay, if you search the champion?
From what they said, you can search up someone like Dr. Voodoo, and you're going to find a Dr. Voodoo. I don't know if they're going to make specific scaling in terms of like the rarity. I'm going to assume they'll make it like a 6-star rank 2, similarly to what they did for the Showdown. But yeah, it's from what they said, it's going to be you search the name, you get to do that character right then and there.
Yeah, it's a shame you couldn't do specific fights, like saying like boss particular fights of story quests, just so that when you're getting into it, you get to fight it. But I don't think that's ever going to be a thing. Like say, I don't know, you search champion 6.2 and you get a practice fight of the champion 6.2. Wishful thinking, I know.
That would be very helpful. But it also sounds like it would be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Unless they create specific masteries for that champion, like quote-unquote account, that give him those nodes.
Let's just say this. Okay, is there something, Royal, is there anything in particular you would think about, or that you would like Kabam to put in that's not already in there, or maybe a change, quality of life change?
Most of the stuff that I had been asking for a bit has been added recently. The sheer fact that stuff auto sorts to just your top characters now in terms of PI is very nice, because every time I would go into my my champion roster, I would instinctively just go and double tap to go to hero rating on the right.
Yeah.
Which I did have to train myself to stop doing once this update came out. But yeah, in terms of quality of life stuff, nothing that comes immediately to mind. The fact that we're going to be able to sell stuff from stash is going to be good. We don't have to constantly sort, and that actually does help with when you do want to do mass selling, but there's certain like ISO bricks. Maybe being able to transfer stuff back to your stash that you don't want right now, because sometimes you want to sell stuff faster. But even then again, they're going to be implementing the selling from stash part. And
Yeah, Dan, is there anything?
Yeah, I think Alliance Quest needs some quality of life updates. The ability to go in and assign paths would be awesome.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to see what this update poses for us, because we know they're adding some variations to the maps with Season 7. We're not quite sure how that's going to work for Map 6 yet, but at least for Map 7, there's the 3 distinct variations, and I really think those variations should be published in advance of them going live so that people have time to prepare and set lanes, because I think they've created a system where it's very hard for an alliance to move up a map. It's much easier for a player to say, I want to go join a Map 7 alliance and join one that's already running. Yeah. But if you actually have to get one running, it's really, really hard, because you're like, all right, we're going to do Map 7 this week. It's week 1. I guess we have to prepare for all 3 variations, even though only one of them's going to run. And it creates so much extra work for people, because you're not just saying like, hey, you have to have the ability to do the planning and the strategy. Okay, that's fine. But then you have to have that very limited window of time when you can do it. That I think is just one too many barriers, because there's already skill. There's already having a good enough roster. There's the coordination element, like making the coordination element fit in that limited period of time, especially where, at least for North America, Alliance Quest goes live daily in the middle of the workday.
God.
So that's very tough. It's like, hey guys, it's 3:00. Which version of Map 7 is it? Oh, let me run to the bathroom and check.
See, that's so inconvenient. See, in the UK,
yeah, exactly.
it goes live to us. Oh, I want to say it finishes at about 7:00 in the evening, and then starts back up about 8:00. I want to say around about that. Is that the same thing with you, Royal?
Mine starts about 3:00.
Okay.
So,
man, I mean, for us as well with Alliance Wars. Alliance Wars ends for us about, I don't know, 4 or 5 p.m. So it's like just before dinner. So it's like we got this lovely kind of like 2-hour European dinner. Like, yes, we have dinner. Yes, we have dinner. Then we get into the Alliance Quest, Alliance Wars again. But for you guys, it's like, oh, we're mid-work. And it's like, oh, I've got to like start this all up. Man, that sucks.
Line chat, just like, is Thanos dead? Tell me if he's dead. I don't want to have to leave my desk if he's not dead.
Yeah.
Like that's just tell me what's going on. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. But yeah, moving up from 6 to 7 feels like a big barrier right now. And if they're adding more difficulty to Map 6, then that's going to do that again, because I just think it's one of those things. It's like, how much time do we need to spend planning outside of the game to actually be able to play the game?
Yeah. You always want that first go at the new map to be perfect. And unfortunately, it's never going to be. But
it's not, but it's a real hit to your alliance's morale if you screw up day 1 and everyone's like, all right, the whole week screwed up.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Like it's. I understand there has to be that risk reward element to a game to make it fun.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, but I would rather I'd rather be beaten on skill rather than, well, unfortunately we couldn't scout all of Map 7 in 10 minutes. That's the thing for me.
Well, it's the same thing with crystals, isn't it? Like it's a risk factor to the game. I don't know if it's the appealing nature to a roulette based. I know Kabam don't like to refer it as a loot box system, but the risk factor for me always seems like, open up a crystal. Am I going to get something I'm going to be able to use in content, or am I going to get something I would be able to potentially use in a variant down the line, or arena? That feels to me that should be the only risk factor in the game, rather than the what you're going to find on a Map 6 or a Map 7, which we're going to have today.
We'll see that today, right? We know Doom's making his debut, and the Doom bots, and who knows what else. Yeah, more Doom.
So we go from
as if we needed to see him more on these nodes in Alliance, content.
That's a
But
problem.
you actually reminded me of a quality of life that I did want to bring up.
Oh yeah.
Being able to just go into war and have your placements already set again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many times I have to go and check line for those screenshots. Or like, oh, make sure I can place my invisible woman on the correct node. Oh, look, someone's already there. Now I have to wait until someone else changes it, and I'm gonna get yelled at because I put my invisible woman on the wrong node. I'm not actually going to. I just explain that, hey, someone took my spot. But it would be so much simpler. So many other mobile games already do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the common comparison. It's like, there's other places that already do it. Why don't we?
I know that there's a lot of people on my channel do not like me mentioning it. Raid Shadow Legends. Not sponsored.
Raid Shadow Legends.
It's an immersive RPG
what's
game.
Raid Shadow Legends?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Dan.
It's a dark fantasy RPG done right. Yeah.
It's the biggest undertaking of 2019.
It's one thing that even every time we have to do a sponsorship for them now, they literally put in bold, do not follow the script. These are key points, but don't mention them word for word. Be inventive and come up with your own ideas. Though, that's just how it is. Anyway, yeah, you can do it in that. Let's move on and talk about something else before we talk any more about that particular subject and people get angry with the Grandmaster fight. Sorry, I'm taking all of Dan's lines here.
No, it's all good. I think Royal, we already touched on it a little bit in when we were getting to know you a little bit better. But did you have anything else you wanted to add about the Grandmaster fight? I don't think Rich has done it. I know I haven't done it yet, but it's just nice to see how the community has received the fight.
Yeah, it seems to be probably one of the best fights Kabam has designed for endgame content. The biggest gripe that I've seen is the fact that there are so many hoops to get through to get to that fight. Because it is a very achievable fight on many players' standards. Like, you don't need specific counters to it. You need a lot of specific counters to get to the fight because of some of the paths that were designed. But that fight itself is fantastic.
Nice.
Have you done it yourself, or?
I have. I did it the day after, I believe.
What champion did you use for it?
So I used Void, Killmonger, Warlock. No, because I took the Cosmic Path. Let me restart. I used Voodoo, Morningstar, I believe Void and Killmonger, and then there was one more Mystic that for some reason is slipping my mind. But again, you don't need any specific counters for that fight.
No, because I suppose you build up your challenges and then hitting at a certain point, and just your big yellow numbers literally just goes through the roof. I've seen hundreds of thousands. It's so impressive to kind of see that.
I remember who I used. Doom. How could I forget Doom?
Oh God.
I will say Doom is criminally too good for that fight because he can fulfill all the challenges easily. He has insane damage when Grandmaster is in his wounded phase. But yeah, that was such an enjoyable fight. I would do it again if I didn't have to go through 90k juggernauts every time.
90.
Yeah. Some of the fights are brutal.
What were you using to kind of clear them down? Was it a case of just like units and revives and stuff, or were there particular champions that were doing the damage well?
So I went in with I have about 8 rank 5s, I think. I went in with my usual 5, and I just kind of looked at the path saying, okay, well, can I handle this without having to spend like a ton of potions? Like, admittedly, I probably, over the course of that entire chapter, used about 30 revives. Some of the worst ones were the Darkhawk and the Hydra Adaptoid bosses. Those were just torturous. I didn't have the perfect counters for them, so it was really bad.
God.
But I didn't use too many units. I used a good portion of my stash, but that's about it. It was pretty tolerable in terms of everything else. It's just that some of those fights, you'll hit a parry and you'll take probably 3,000 in damage on a parry.
Ooh.
So is it a case that it's got to be intercept all the way, or just?
Very much so. There was a biohazard nightcrawler that I had to kill with 3% health on a warlock. It was pretty bad.
Good times.
Jesus.
Good times.
Very good time.
What health pool were you looking at for some of these?
So the way these new ones worked, each path had a mini boss at the end. I believe the path's health was probably between 2k and 2.5k.
Right.
The mini bosses themselves were 5,000 or 500,000, and some of the bosses probably in the range of like 700.
Wow.
So you were looking at long fights.
Yeah. So I even thought like some of the 100%ing of 6.2, which I'm working on at the moment, is it's long health pool fights. I was just like, oh, this is just boring. Just constantly just chipping down health, and you constantly swiping and tapping and swiping and trying to keep your head on a swivel. It's like I've got fun when it comes to Act 6.4 then.
Well, I will say the fights aren't boring. They are a little bit tedious, but there is enough going on that keeps you on your toes and actually invested and interested in the fight.
Right.
That Nightcrawler also had Oscillate, which made it really easy to switch him.
Yeah.
But it made it difficult to not get clipped by like a random medium when you weren't looking.
Yeah.
So it definitely did keep you invested and interested.
Okay, so talking on the subject of invested and interested, in the last 3 weeks, I think it's 3 weeks, we've been told about the dungeons being revamped, and they're going to be called incursions, which is supposedly rumoured to fix the gold problem, or the gold economy problem. And obviously, some of us were going to be invited to Kabam HQ in order to road test incursions. Unfortunately, that is not the case, obviously, based on what is going on in the world. What are our thoughts? I will start off with Dan. Thoughts with this actually becoming a thing in April? Will this actually be released in April?
It's hard to see them pushing it back if it's ready, but clearly they had this huge promotional plan for incursions that at a scale that they've never done before. It's one thing to bring Dave to Vancouver to shoot some videos. It's another thing to fly in. It must have been at least half a dozen people that we saw publicly say they were going to test this out. And then, of course, that's all out the window now. So I would assume that they're going to make some effort to promote incursions anyway in a different way. So I don't know. We should see some patch notes next week. I think they're still coming. I would imagine that they're ready, but it's really just curious. Is okay. Well, what is this going to be? Because we know sometimes Kabam gets sensitive when we say something has been hyped by them, but I feel we're legitimate in the use of the word hype attached with incursions based on what they've been saying so far about it being such an entertaining game mode. So there is some pressure to deliver, and as someone who played dungeons quite a bit, I've actually dungeoned with Royal before. Yes, I'm looking forward to a cooperative mode. I'm hoping it's more interesting and maybe even more competitive, where you're actually, maybe it's a 2 versus 2 and you get to set a defense or something. I know Brian Grant's talked about that idea before. I'm just really hoping that it's engaging and more cooperative and really gives you a reason to like maybe jump on voice chat with one of your buddies, just hang out and play the game.
Yeah, I know that from when we had Dave's video put out about this and he was interviewing them, and he was even like saying that Dave has played it, so he knows, and if he's saying it's good, then it must be really good. Mike, I do like the idea of that kind of like 2v2 and obviously setting defense and stuff like that. But does that seem like it could be in the confines of something new? Which yes is exciting. Yes, it could be like a mini Alliance Wars, which could be Doom Wars, Doom Wars mini. Is that kind of going in a little bit like Marvel Realm, could be. Actually, and I suppose that could be a little bit more different than that, because that's meant to be. That's another subject. How that could current pandemic could affect the pushing back of that game. But Royal, how do you feel about this particular game mode as well? Do you think it's going to be released in the latter part of April, as stated? And how would they add more gold in? Or how do you think the milestoning? How do you think that's going to work to add more gold into the game?
So I will start by saying I loved dungeons in their original form. I thought the aspect of being able to just queue up with someone, I always did them with Dragon, and just being able to do a couple of really powerful fights. There's a lot more tensity in terms of like you're really not able to heal in there simply because of the sheer lack of easy to acquire potions and things like that. I think the gold aspect is going to be solved because they probably did a total reworking of the way Dungeons works. It's probably not going to even look like Dungeons, or rather, the way Incursions is going to look now. I'm kind of bummed about the fact that they're removing the Dungeons name, because that it did add a kind of cool, like, oh, you're delving into the dungeons with your partner. Good luck.
Well, yeah, the whole type of aspect of like and obviously Ultron is going to be the big linchpin about this. He's been given the advertisement, the placement. So do you think it's going to be something that we go, right, well, we're facing off against an Ultron boss then?
Because we didn't get enough of that in the variant 1, right? Just more Ultron. Hey.
Yeah, around, right? Like he was an early wasn't he one of the early Alliance Quest bosses too?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was the first, actually.
He was the first one, and of course, back in the day, he was one of those stud Alliance War defenders because Regen was basically like, was king back in the original iteration.
When it scaled with the node and not with base health. Oh.
You could actually place your superior Iron Man.
and one willpower when you had 3 armor breaks from Hulkbuster and AQ would heal you for 300 a tick.
Oh man, that is a trip down memory lane.
The good old days.
Yep. Oh yeah. But no, that didn't need to be fixed. Don't worry about
it. No, not at all.
Yeah.
When Joe Fixit, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist were hilariously worse, because those 4 armor breaks that you would be getting would be healing them for like 500, and then your damage meant nothing.
That was the thing, is when you've got a game where you actually want to get hit because you're healing, that's probably not a good mechanic.
No.
Okay, well, sticking on the subject. Sorry, Dan, I'm nicking all the stuff we kind of did, but no time to say. You say this. You say. Okay, so something that I find a bit of an issue. I don't know if anybody else does, and that's the way that maybe the game's tailored to be quite specific, going, okay, well, this specific champion is good for this specific type of thing. And then obviously there's the big player of going, do you know what? I want to make my situation more easier. Like saying, I want to awaken my Aegon, or I want to get Aegon for the very first time. I want to get Aegon in general, so I can do things like Abyss of Legends more easily, or I want to do Labyrinth of Legends, clear that 100%. The topic of acquisition being such an issue, this is something I think we need to kind of talk about. So, Royal, how do you feel about the way that, say, the community have this idea of going, okay, well, this champion is good for this, so therefore I'm going to wait around for this champion? Do you feel that any champion will really do for some specific types of fights? Champion acquisition.
Champion acquisition in this game stinks.
Yeah.
Basically put, I've been waiting for a 5-star Namor or Omega Red to use my Mutant Gem and my 106 stones on for quite a while, and there is no guaranteed way for me to get that. I would have to hope that in Arena or in my next 5-star crystal that I manage to get one of these characters. And specific character acquisition, for certain fights has definitely improved. I know 6.2 and 3 were pretty notorious for needing very specific counters. I felt for a while Symbiote Supreme would have been the only option to use against the champion 6.2 boss. And Beardo in 6.3, you really can only use Ghost if you ever have a hope of one-shotting that. I know Seaton did a really nice cheese with Ronin, where he went and made some tea, which was very amusing.
I mean, I don't have a 5-star Ronin. I want a 5-star Ronin. I've wanted one for ages, but am I going to get it? I don't think I will. Unless Arena comes out and I feel quite compelled to put in about 40 mil.
Yeah, and while a 5-star basic Arena is an enticing fix to it, it ultimately doesn't solve the problem for people who can't put that time or effort into it.
Yeah, that's a
Arena
good
is
point.
great, but not everyone can do it.
Do you feel Kabam have done something with Nexus crystals in order to solve that? Well, go some way to solve the issue of acquisition?
I see Nexus crystals as more of a novel way to show off, like, oh, you know, you could possibly get this champion or this champion. They've been shown in only so many niche situations so far. They are more of a novelty than a practicality right now, because you're not able to go and grab a premium Nexus right now.
Yeah.
They've only been in the store for like a day or two, and then even then we only just now saw the Nexus 5 and 6 stars coming for the rewards of Act 6.
Yeah.
But it's only one of each.
Dan, do you get any issues with acquiring the right champion?
Yeah, you know, I feel like I go on these runs where I'll land 3 or 4 champions off my hit list, and then I'll go through a several month drought. Well, the RNG balances out, and you certainly look at it like things with Abyss of Legends, where you appear to need the 4 horsemen. You need certain champs. If you have them, you're great. If you're not, you're stuck spinning for that one in about 160 chance of pulling a specific champion right now. But it's also the frequency is important. I think Royal brought up a great point when he called Nexus crystals a novelty. They're a great idea, but if the frequency of them is so low, they're not actually going to solve any problems. It's much like the dungeon crystals. Yeah. They have that 1 in 10 chance to target a champ. That's great. That's the best odds you're going to get. But if you can only open 1 per category of the death and the whatever the other names are, and you can only open 1 dungeon crystal maybe every 2 months, does that really solve your problem? Like, nobody's complaining about acquiring every 3 or 4 star. It's not just because they don't feel like they need them in the end game. It's because you're spinning so many premium crystals and 3-star and 4-star crystals that eventually the odds work out and you get everybody. You know, you could keep the pool the way it is if the shard gain was a lot higher, because eventually it would work itself out. So it's sort of a 2-tiered problem the way I look at it. And I think I do think Royal's right. A 5-star basic Arena would be great, but it only solves the problem for some people, and even then it's only 4 champions a month.
Yeah.
So
the problem could Kabam sort out something where they go, okay, so they have a tiering system. Well, no, they kind of have a tiering. At times, Kabam put out some very strange crystals where it looks like they've got all the I'm using metaphorical bunny ears here, OP champions.
Right.
Could they identify a selection of champions that are, I don't know, community top rated and do a special kind of crystal once a month that maybe doesn't feel so much of a loss on anybody's spend? Obviously, Kabam would probably monetize something like that, but having something that was, say, I don't know, not a legendary one, but a 5-star crystal. They've done this before when they did a Gwenpool at the movies. I think it was a 5-star.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was specific. It wasn't like a basic one. It was like I don't know, movie type champions or something.
Yeah, it was based on like the MCU, and we got a couple of specific characters from that.
And that's the thing.
And they did the crystal that we voted for, and they put the $1 crystal for the 4-star a couple years ago, where we voted about who was going to be in that pool, and I think it was the top 2 from each class got put in. So, I mean, if you did that with a 5-star crystal and you I mean, even if you did that once every 3 months, and you could still monetize it, but it'd be very popular.
Yeah, even if they did it for, similar to Gwenpool at the movies, if they did a side quest even once a year, twice a year, which would have some beneficial champions to a roster, that would be a complete game changer to a lot of players.
And while that would be a game changer, I will say, you would probably run into a problem really quickly where people will just keep voting Aegon or Nick Fury. Now, obviously, I'm sure they would put in some way to keep that from happening.
Yeah,
while I do hate the RNG of crystals, I can understand why we're not given crystals that, give us the character that we absolutely need. I got a 6-star Aegon back in January.
Wow.
I said to myself, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything with this because there's no 6-star Awakening gem. I'm probably not going to pull him for quite a while. But right after 6.4, I duped him from the 6-star that I got.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Yeah, I was ecstatic about. But at the same time, I thought about it. I was like, well, let's say I had the choice if I had been given like a Nexus Crystal with Aegon in it, would I have been as excited? Maybe, maybe not. While we do dislike that RNG aspect, it does get us excited when we finally get that Doom dupe that we missed on 41 featured crystals, right, Cam?
Oh, poor Cam.
Oh man, he is suffering quite a bit.
Yes, he is, and that's at his level, it's not just I want Doom. It's I want Doom so I can hang in my alliance for prestige purposes. It's these things get tricky. I do agree with Royal that the RNG aspect of the game is important and keeps it fun, maybe even more than we'd all like to admit. But at the same time, you don't want to feel like you're stalled in content either. So I think maybe there's a little bit of balancing that needs to occur to get us in a better place.
It's good that you brought up the prestige aspect of it because I didn't even think about that. Some people will need a character not because of content, but just to stay competitive.
Yeah,
because of that magical number that Kabam dictated a while ago.
And that does mean that if you are content with an alliance and going like, look, we're going to have to say to you, look, you either bump your prestige or you're going to have to leave, which in some cases for a lot of very top alliances, it is a very real thing. That's disappointing to have so much pressure to rank up and signature level up a lot of champions. There's a lot of pressure there.
It really ruins the fun of the game at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's prestige is at the top of my mind right now. Not that I'm worried about getting kicked from my alliance, but knowing that the thing I can do the most to help my alliance right now while we're pushing Alliance Quest is to raise my prestige. And right now, I'm gonna do an opening on Tuesday, and honestly, like if I get a duped Phoenix or a duped Thor Ragnarok, that's my next 565, and then the Sig Stones are going there because that's what I can do to help my alliance the most. And I actually, I kind of want to do it. I'd rather have Phoenix than Thor. Well, Thor Ragnarok's better prestige, but Phoenix is actually fun to play in some regards. So I kind of dig her heavy style with the Furies, and she's got that save your butt, revive at the end. So I don't know, it's there's just so much to weigh with how you do a rank up and how you balance the economy, and it's all the things we've been talking about, whether it's there too little gold, too much gold, are we pulling the champions we want?
Economy in this game is such a great word, especially when it's an imaginary one that is dictated by what Kabam wants us to think it is.
So I keep thinking about GDP. I'm thinking about what's the gold GDP? What's the tier 2 alphas GDP? And I'm thinking like I'm applying it to real world situations. What are we gonna have like the Dow Jones in the game and like some kind of like stocks and shares?
Because they are in complete control of what the value of items are. Units don't realistically cost anything. In a weird way to say it. This can get into a whole philosophical argument of whether or not they should even price certain things a certain way, but it's always been a very hard pass on me when I hear that the in-game economy is going to be affected. Look, the in-game economy is dictated on how much you do arena. There's no That's not like someone invested gold and their gold stock went up, and now they're able to
Right.
rank 5 their doom. You know.
Yeah, but at the same time, the economy is very complex because we have to spend all these multiple resources to rank up champions. And if you look at what's about to happen to the Glory Store, where we're addressing one need, right? Like T2 Alpha, people were complaining about this back in the fall. We need more T2 Alpha, big boost to the Glory Store, big boost to your T5B gain as well. But in a way, that there's we'll use a Kabam Mike favorite knock-ons to doing that, right? If an endgame resource gets cheaper, you want to spend your glory there, but that means in a way that actually makes Alliance War potions more expensive because you're giving up more resources by spending your glory there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, once you acquire those T2A and those T5B, you want to spend them, and you need the gold to actually use those resources.
Right. I think that's it for the show. I think we've covered a lot of topics. Are we all happy with where we are?
I think we're good. I think we're good. Royal, you good?
All
right.
I'm feeling fantastic.
Excellent.
We've had a blast. Okay, so thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to Royal for being an excellent guest.
No. Thank you for having me. This was quite a fun experience.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it a lot.
Well, we'll try and we'll have to tick each member of the UMCOC podcast off the list. I keep on saying it as a long, quick word. As UMCOC podcast. Do you have any kind of like any smaller abbreviations of your podcast?
Some people say UMCOC. I don't know
yeah,
how
I mean,
it rolls off the tongue.
yeah, okay.
I can't believe that didn't stick.
Yeah.
No, I wonder why. Weird.
Yeah, darling, what would you like for dinner tonight? I don't know. Maybe go with the MCOC. MCOC van. Anyway, what am I talking about?
Rich, this wasn't supposed to be the explicit episode.
No, it wasn't. What's wrong with me? It's because I'm top to tailing. That's the problem.
That is. It's spiraling quickly now.
God damn this pandemic. Right, okay, we're going to end on that note as we started off. Yeah, thank you to everybody for coming by. Obviously, Dan and my co-host. Love you, mate. Thanks for being around.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it.
And yeah, you can catch us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Just check the links in the bio. We'll see you all next week for another edition, episode 10. Well, now we're down to double digits. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
See you then. Bye.